My Wife's Movie Club watched Hidden Figures, a 2017 Disney film about three NASA employees who were great examples and seemingly hidden contributors to the overall NASA goals, and to be the first in their fields for many to follow after them. These three prominent and celebrated figures portrayed in the film are Dorothy Vaughan, Mary Jackson, and Katherine Johnson. They each show amazing achievements that everyone can admire and respect and learn from. Dorothy Vaughan was a supervisor of the West Area Computers and later was the head of Programming and Analysis and Computation Division. She worked at National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, or NACA, which later became NASA, and she worked in Virginia. Her story illustrates the concept of creative destruction, the idea that new innovations replace or destroy or make obsolete the old way of doing things. Her story shows us her foresight when she realized the IBM would replace the female mathematicians called computers. And instead of fighting or sabotaging, she researches and becomes invaluable to the process. She encourages and teaches the women mathematicians to embrace the future changes, to adapt and make themselves valuable in a new way. She taught them to learn what they can become to meet future needs and become indispensable. Mary Jackson was a mathematician and aerospace engineer for NACA and NASA, and she also worked out of Virginia. Her story in the film is about her becoming an engineer. It is a reminder that bad laws result in bad situations, and despite the hopefully well-meaning or well-intentioned laws, they do not justify those bad results. However, she did not break the law, nor did she ask that she would be appointed an engineer without the proper degree. Instead, she worked within the process legally to make a change, to put in the work, and to make a way easier for those who followed after her. In the film, we see her being encouraged by others to take the hard road and become the first female engineer, which required judicial change and further education. Part of her story not told in the film is how she realized she could not advance or be promoted any further than she was as the most senior engineer title if she did not have some supervisor experience. So she accepted a demotion to be a manager and gain that pathway, illustrating in my mind the same insight. And finally, Katherine Johnson was a mathematician who worked as a NASA scientist whose calculations of orbital mechanics were critical to NASA's success. She was naturally gifted and well respected. Her story shows us diverse peoples can come together in unity for a common purpose. There are many businesses that are competitive by nature, but there are also many, like the NASA program, where there are several people doing different things to reach a singular goal. Her story illustrates that fact. In the film, her immediate boss says, "We all get there together or we don't get there at all." Diversity of appearance is not why they reached the moon. It was all the different skills, each doing their part for a unified purpose. All sorts of people working together as best they could to reach a shared goal. That is why the director was able to ask them to stay late without extra pay. That is why they were not subject to the prejudices that usually cause conflict. Katherine is a reminder that when we do our best, we are making the best contribution to our team. We all succeed together or we all fail together. I have mixed feelings about this movie. The film is historically inaccurate, and instead of truthfully telling the story of our three heroes, we get unrelated social justice messaging that is not true. The whole bathroom situation is fiction. Katherine never had to run through the rain or even to another building to use the bathroom. She used the same bathroom as everybody else. There was never a controversy. There was no breaking down of any signs by her boss or anything like it. The whole emotional scene was a fabrication that honestly is more distracting from the great message of the film. The coffee pot controversy is also not true. In the film, there's a coffee pot labeled colored. Now, historically, this may have been a reference to the NASA cafeteria before 1943, where there was a section labeled colored, but the sign was taken down by an unknown person, and they put it back up, but it was taken back down again, and by the third time, it was never put back up again. This was all before World War II ended. So this would have been before all of these three women worked at NASA. Segregation was a bad law at the time, but was it relevant to Katherine's story? I mean, not really. In her own words, Katherine said, and this is from the book, I didn't feel the segregation at NASA because everyone there was doing research. You had a mission and you worked on it, and it was important to you to do your job and play bridge at lunch. I didn't feel any segregation. I knew it was there, but I didn't feel it. So segregation was relevant to the Mary Jackson story when she needed to go to school, and I guess they felt that the real story of Catherine didn't have what it takes, so they added all that in. Finally, Paul Stafford, played by Jim Parsons, is a made-up character to be a racist and a sexist who attempts to undermine Catherine. And the Vivian Mitchell character, played by Kirsten Dunst, also made up to represent the villainous white woman, not openly hostile, but prejudiced and insulting. These are all made up. They never happened. Those people don't exist. And it seems to me to be very insulting to the NASA scientists who actually worked with Catherine and respected her and worked well with her, and the other staff that worked with Dorothy and Mary. These are the real hidden figures, and to impose upon them racist and sexist ideology, it's just sad. It really undermines the triumphs and the examples of their true lives. The title is called Hidden Figures, and this itself is a great concept, but these are fairly prominent figures, groundbreakers, and trendsetters. They are examples of excellence. Catherine has a building named after her at NASA. The film brings to light the foresight and adaptability of Dorothy Vaughan, the determination against prejudice laws of Mary Jackson, and the brilliance, innovation, and contribution of Katherine Johnson. To me, it's an okay film. What did you think?
It's good to know NASA hadn't given up on good old-fashioned brain power.
It's because we wear glasses.